Ever wondered what the world would look like if a different currency ruled global trade? What if I told you we came incredibly close to a world dominated not by the dollar, but by a coin born from conquest and silver mines? This isn't just a what-if scenario. It's a forgotten chapter of history that holds powerful lessons for our world today. Let's rewind the clock. Long before the US dollar became the king of currencies, another powerhouse reigned supreme. I'm talking about the Spanish Piece of Eight. For nearly 3 centuries, this silver coin was the lifeblood of international commerce. From the bustling markets of China to the fledgling colonies in America, the Piece of Eight was the first truly global currency. It was so influential that it even inspired the design of the US dollar itself. Its iconic pillars and wave symbol, which represented the Pillars of Hercules and the oceans beyond, became the basis for the dollar sign we all know today. So how did this mighty coin, which once connected empires and financed global trade, simply fade away? The story of its decline is a classic tale of empires overreaching. Wars, economic mismanagement, and the eventual collapse of the Spanish Empire led to the fragmentation of its currency's power. It didn't disappear overnight, but gradually its influence waned, creating a power vacuum. This vacuum was eventually filled by the British pound sterling. As the British Empire expanded, so did the reach of its currency. For over a century, sterling was the anchor of the global financial system. The world traded in pounds, held reserves in pounds, and looked to London as the center of the financial universe. But just like the Piece of Eight, its reign wasn't permanent. 2 devastating world wars drained Britain's coffers, and its economic dominance began to crumble. Enter the US dollar. Emerging from World War II as the world's undisputed economic and industrial superpower, the United States was in a unique position. The Bretton Woods Agreement of 1944 officially cemented the dollar's status, pegging it to gold and making it the world's primary reserve currency. For the past 80 years, we've lived in the age of the dollar. Everything from oil to coffee is priced in dollars, and countries across the globe hold vast reserves of it for stability. This system has shaped everything, from your local gas prices to the grand strategies of nations. But history has a funny way of repeating itself. Just as the Piece of Eight and the pound sterling eventually fell from their pedestals, we are now seeing signs that the dollar's undisputed dominance may be facing its biggest challenge yet. This isn't some fringe conspiracy theory. It's a visible shift happening on the world stage. The trend is called de-dollarization, and it's gaining momentum. So, what's driving this change? A major factor is the shifting global economic landscape. Decades ago, the US economy was a colossal giant, towering over everyone else. Today, while still powerful, its share of the global economy is shrinking as emerging economies like China and India rise at an incredible pace. As their economic might grows, it is only natural for them to want their own currencies to play a larger role in global trade. We're already seeing this in action. Countries are increasingly striking deals to trade in their own local currencies, bypassing the dollar altogether. The Chinese yuan, for instance, is now being used more frequently for international transactions, especially in trade with Russia, Brazil, and nations across Asia and Africa. The BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, are openly advocating for alternatives and even exploring the creation of a new shared currency for trade. They are tired of relying on a system centered around a single nation's currency and policies. Another powerful catalyst is the use of the dollar as a tool of foreign policy. When the US imposes sanctions, it essentially weaponizes the dollar, cutting off countries from the global financial system. While this can be an effective tool, it has also made many nations nervous. They see the risk of being overly dependent on a currency that can be used against them. This has accelerated their search for alternatives, creating a global reassessment of the dollar's role. They're looking for an insurance policy, a plan B, so their economic fate isn't entirely in the hands of another country's political decisions. Think about it from their perspective. If your entire national economy can be frozen with the flip of a switch in Washington, wouldn't you want to diversify? This isn't necessarily about replacing the dollar overnight, but about reducing reliance on it. It's about building a more multipolar financial world where multiple currencies share the stage. This brings us to a fascinating question. What could replace the dollar? One possibility is not a single currency, but a basket of them. Imagine a world where the yuan, the euro, the yen, and perhaps currencies from other emerging powers share the role of reserve currencies. This could create a more balanced and competitive global economy, where no single country has oversized influence. It could reduce volatility and currency risks for international businesses. Then there's the rise of digital currencies. While still in their early days, cryptocurrencies and central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, offer a glimpse into a radically different financial future. They could enable direct, peer-to-peer international transactions without needing a traditional intermediary like the US dollar. Imagine a world where global trade happens instantly, 24/7, on a decentralized network. The potential to simplify trade and reduce costs is enormous. Of course, a world without a single dominant currency isn't without its own challenges. The dollar's dominance, for all its criticisms, has provided a degree of stability and predictability. A multi-currency world might be more complex and potentially more volatile in the short term. And the idea of a single global currency, while appealing for its simplicity, faces huge hurdles. Who would control it? How would you manage inflation and economic policy for the entire planet? Just look at the cautionary tale of Zimbabwe, where hyperinflation and mismanagement caused its dollar to collapse, wiping out savings and destroying the economy. The risks of getting it wrong are immense. So, where does this leave us? We are living through a pivotal moment in economic history. The unipolar era of the US dollar's absolute dominance is showing cracks. The world is slowly but surely moving towards a more multipolar financial system. This won't happen tomorrow or even next year. The dollar is still incredibly entrenched. But the historical patterns are clear. No currency's reign is eternal. From the Spanish Peace of '8 to the British pound, empires and their currencies rise and fall. The dollar's story is still being written, but the next chapter is guaranteed to be one of the most transformative we've ever seen. What do you think the future of money looks like? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey through currency history fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. See you in the next video.